Seraph the Patient is a new Seraph added in the newest Monster Train Major Update Friends and Foes. He can attack during the flying phase, he can gain attack when you play a unit, and he can even give your units melee weakness. However, there are many ways to play around his abilities. Let's dive in and take a look. Welcome back to another Did You Know video. My name is Bob, aka Nightingale, and today we're diving into the new Friends and Foes update with Seraph the Patient. If you want more videos like this, consider hitting the like button as it will help me a lot. Also, there is a bonus tip at the end of the video, so stay until the end to find out. Number 1. This tip I think is a very straightforward counter to Seraph. If you have the unnamed tome, weakless recruitment, or the resin removal, the whole strategy of Seraph just falls apart. What Seraph is trying to do is give your tank melee weakness and then use the attack value from Rally and Incant to one-shot your tank. However, if your tank doesn't have melee weakness or the Seraph just hasn't rallied or incanted enough, there's basically no damage coming in at all. The new change recently added to Seraph the Patient does rely less on the rally triggers and also gives him the incant triggers, but still, Silence and Cleanse are still going to be very good cards to pick up when facing him. The incant trigger is very much detrimental to all decks, however. Every deck needs to play at least a couple of spells every single turn. If you want to kill that backline enemy so it doesn't hit your tank, you need a spell. If you want your tank to be protected or healed, you need a spell. So yeah, this guy will be very annoying to play around if you don't have Silence or Cleanse. I can already imagine people restarting their battle multiple times simply because one extra incant trigger on the boss can literally mean victory from defeat. Number 2. I know that you probably would know that putting stuff in front of your tank can block a full hit from the enemy since most damage sources don't splash. However, if you can keep one of these Chump blockers alive, if Seraph goes to that floor again, the melee weakness debuff will be added to the Chump blocker instead of your tank. Your Chump blocker is gonna die anyway, so the melee weakness is simply useless. This strategy is difficult to pull off because first you need to silence a rally trigger, then you need at least 2 floors of units. You should have a lower floor to kill most of the enemies, and the higher floor would have a Chump blocker that survived the turn to tank the Seraph Blast. Or simply you can just kill the enemies using spells to reduce the damage coming into your tank. That would be a much easier solution. However, do keep in mind of the incant trigger from Seraph. Number 3. Damage shield is probably the best thing for melee weakness. I'm talking about some high numbers here, at least above 5 damage shield. After the recent changes to Seraph, melee weakness goes away after every single turn regardless of your units got hit or not. So just stack those damage shields and your units won't get hit. If you can kill each wave with spells, not many shields are gonna get consumed from the enemy attacks, so you can save them all for Seraph. Even during the final phase, Seraph is only attacking once per action unlike the 3 times for the other Seraphs. This means that damage shields can actually tank several actions of Seraph, and your DPS can just kill him before your tank dies. Even if the Seraph has accumulated a lot of attack from the incant and rally triggers, he only hits once per turn, so your damage shields will negate all those attacks. The power of this new Seraph the Patient is not in the final phase. It's always the melee weakness, the rally, and incant triggers. As long as one of these don't work for him, it's basically game over. Number 4. I have mentioned this a little bit in tip number 2. What you want is for your tank to not die, and the best way for that is just have 2 or 3 tanks on different floors. This Seraph will travel to a floor with units on it to put melee weakness on your tank. If he travels to an empty floor, he will definitely put the debuff on your tank first before moving away. If you only have 1 floor of units, your tank will get debuffed every single turn. So what you can do is simply have more floors with more tanks so that Seraph won't debuff your lower floor that many times. Even if the upper floor is debuffed, it's probably just the Seraph and the Lightwing attacking your tank on that floor. Killing the Lightwing is easy, and you're just left with 15 times 2 of damage from Seraph hitting your tank. Spreading out like this is even more important than the Cleanse or Sap Seraph because the multiplicative damage from the melee weakness debuff can kill your tank from numbers impossible to kill for the other Seraphs. Unless you're very confident in your deck to draw healing, armor, AoE, backline removal, or nuke spells, I would very much recommend a 2-floor setup against Seraph the Patient. Number 5. The core damage source for this new Seraph is his rally and incant triggers. If you don't have silence and have a bunch of imps or burnout units that you want to play, or a bunch of spells that are less impactful to the game and you want to play them out, think twice before playing them. Evaluate the opportunity cost of playing the imp or that damage spell versus not playing. This is very similar to playing morsels against Pyrewings when facing the Cleanse Seraph. Just play those units or spells on a different floor, or just play those units or spells that are essential in your kill floor. For example, if you draw a unit that needs to be played so it can start killing the enemies, of course you should play that unit despite it buffing the Seraph. Otherwise, you will have to wait for another deck cycle to play that unit, and that you definitely do not want. On the contrary, if you just have a torch that deals 2 damage, do you really need to play that card on an enemy? That's just an example, but it does relate to all units or spells that are less impactful to your current situation. Now that it's the end of the video, here is the bonus tip. The different symbols for the different versions of Talos and Archus. With the new changes, you can see which version of these 2 bosses you will be facing in the beginning of the run, but once you close that pop-up window in the beginning of the game, you can't access that information again like you can Seraph. So here are the symbols in case anyone needs them in the middle of a run. If you would like to know more about the symbols of Daedalus and Fel, click on this video that I did previously, and I will see you over there.